Hello, this is Amy from Artisan Upholstery Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to reupholster some simple slip seats for your dining chairs. To strip your seat, you're going to need slip joint pliers, some sort of tool to take the staples out, and a utility knife. Starting on the bottom side, you're going to rip off any bottom liner that may be there. This one's already been ripped off. And then you're going to start prying up the staples. You may also find it easy to take your utility knife and score a big X through fabric and the foam if you're going to replace it. The next step, of course, is to cut the foam for our seats. I've chosen 1-inch foam for mine because they are mid-century chairs and I really want to keep that nice 1960s sleek look. So for this you will need your foam, your seat, and a Sharpie marker. You're going to trace a 1/2 inch over the edge of the plywood. That's to ensure that when you're sitting down, you don't feel the rough edge of the wood. I just use a blade to cut it. You could also use scissors. Using a bit of spray adhesive, I'm just going to glue the foam onto the plywood. Perfect. Choosing appropriate fabric for your dining seats is very important. Your dining seats are susceptible to spills and greasy fingers, and so you're going to want to choose something that's not only easy to wipe clean, but also is maybe dark in color and has a pattern so it hides any stains that inevitably will be there. I've chosen one that's dark and has a pattern, so keep all of these things in mind when you're choosing your fabric for your dining seats. When you're cutting your fabric, you want to make sure that you're cutting it big enough to wrap over the bottom of the frame on all 4 sides, centering a pattern if you have one. Starting at the back or the front, pull it across and put 1 staple in, about 1.5 inches from the frame. And then turn it around and do the same on the other side. And when I'm pulling, I am pulling it as tightly as I can. Then you want to do the sides. Always check to make sure that your pattern is nice and straight and centered. This one looks good. So I'm going to start on the front side, tucking it under my arm, and I'm going to pull it nice and tight up to that corner, sideways and around this way. So it's really going to be pulled as tight as you can. So again, you're pulling it sideways and around this way. So I'm kind of, with this hand, pulling out this way and around. And just put one staple a couple of inches away from the edge. Roll it around and do the same on the other side. So I've got 3 staples in. These ones are pulling this. There's a lot of tension in the fabric here so that there are no lumps, no puckers, and most importantly, no loose fabric. Now do the back. Same thing. Pulling it nice and tight is what gives you that very professional look. And it does take a little bit of practice to feel like you've got the hang of tucking it under your arms and pulling it correctly. It's not something that comes naturally. It takes a lot of dining seats before you feel good about it. It's nice and tight on all 4 sides. Next, we're going to put in the filler staples, and you're going to push down with your hand, your whole hand. You don't want to pull it down like this. You want to pull it with your whole hand, and that is what keeps those lumps from forming. If you've done it correctly, you should only need 2 or 3 staples. Alright, so we've got our staples in, and now we have to go back and take those very first staples out because we pulled so tightly they will always leave a little dimple there. I don't know if you can see that right here where we put that first staple in. There's quite a bit of tension in that pull, and that's totally expected, and we knew it was going to happen. So we're going to take those first staples out and then replace them with one that's not quite so tight. Perfect. Next, we're going to address our corners. We have to get rid of all of this extra fabric because if we try to wrap that around and just, you know, tuck it down like a birthday present, you're going to have way too much fabric. It's going to look lumpy and unsightly on the bottom of your chair. It might not even fit on the frame properly. So, taking the corner piece from this outside corner, you are going to pull it as tightly as you can and put a staple about 1/2 inch from the corner. And do all 4 sides. Pull it as tight as you can. That's very important. Now we are going to cut out all of that extra fabric. And I know that cuts are super scary, but as long as you stay on the inside of that staple, you're not going to make a mistake. So cut out everything. Sometimes my students feel more comfortable drawing a line before they start cutting. So if that is your preference, you can draw that in. Keep in mind you want to go in from a 90-degree angle from your edge here, straight in towards the staple, and then again, straight in towards that staple. 90 degrees, 90 degrees. That way you know you're not making a mistake. You really do want to cut out as much fabric as you possibly can to make it as neat on the bottom as possible. So now we're going to start rolling that under. You don't want any raw edges, so you don't want to do that. You want to roll that under nicely and then put a couple of staples in to hold it. And then trim all that extra fabric away. You can go pretty close to the staples with this fabric because it doesn't fray. Roll that one over top. And you still want to keep the staples pretty far away from the edge here because your bottom liner is going to cover them, but you don't want the bottom liner to get too close to the edge. Roll that under a little bit more, so I want to keep it away from that edge. There you go. Your finished seat. So now that I've got my 4 dining seats done, I'm going to reattach them to the frames. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on how to upholster your easy slip seat dining chairs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Amy of Artisan Upholstery Studio. Thanks for watching.